What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our ACC football channel. We've shown you the 2020 schedule for the Clemson Tigers. Now let's take a look at their projected record based off of this schedule and look and see, is anyone capable of beating this Clemson team in 2020? No one was able to do it in the regular season last year, and the schedule, again, is really not that tough this year. This is a projected record based off of the schedule only, not a prediction. We will do our predictions much later, but it's just kind of a projection based off of their percentages, the percentage chance they have to win each game. So here is the scale that we use. If it's a game that I think 99% they should absolutely win, it's going to be green. 80% is blue. That's a game where they'll probably be favored by double digits. 60% a game that's closer to a touchdown. I think the team will be favored by about a touchdown, and then you reverse that, obviously, for a team that would be an underdog. And then a 50-50 game is a game that I just personally could see either team winning, and I think the spread would be more like 3 or 4 points or less in that game. So that just kind of gives you an idea. We just kind of group these teams together and come out with this formula just to give you a projection, again, based off of the schedule. So we start with those 99% games for Clemson. And I know it feels like some more games could probably be in that 99% range, but we'll say Akron and the Citadel are those two games that would obviously be a major shock if Clemson were to lose either one of these games. So I expect them to roll, win big. Starters probably out by halftime in both of those games. Now we move on to the games that are considered 80%, and that's not an exact percentage. If I was going to narrow this down to my personal percentage, some of these would be more like 90 or maybe even 95%. But we're just, again, kind of grouping the teams together to give you a projection. It's just a rough estimate of what the record should be based off of the schedule. And you see almost the entire schedule for Clemson falls in that 80% range. Georgia Tech, Louisville, Virginia, Boston College, Florida State, NC State, Syracuse, Wake Forest, South Carolina. I think Clemson will be double-digit favorites in all of these games. You know, Louisville would be a team, if they played them on the road, you would say that's a chance for a slip-up. But, I mean, Clemson's, I don't see them losing at home. It would just shock me to see them lose to any of these teams at home. Florida State's a team that, if they're better than they were last year, much better, and because that game is on the road, that's one game in the ACC that might give Clemson a little bit of trouble. But based off of what we've seen the last few years from Florida State, I just don't see that game being a game that's really close. So I think Clemson wins these games all by double digits. I know they had the game against North Carolina last year. That was a road game. Keep that in mind. But other than that, that's what we saw last season. So now we have Notre Dame here, and we're putting them in the 60% category because I think Clemson, and some people might consider this a 50-50 game, but I think even going on the road, Clemson still is clearly a better team than Notre Dame. I think that they will be about a touchdown favorite in this game. I would actually, right now, I'd be surprised if Clemson lost this game. I feel pretty confident that they will be able to go in there and take care of business, but it's not an easy win. It's a game that they could lose. Notre Dame has talent. It's not like Notre Dame's a bad team. You go back to a couple of years ago to the playoff matchup, Clemson just really outmatched Notre Dame. I don't anticipate Notre Dame having anything this year that's going to make it any different from what we saw in that playoff matchup. So I think, it's a game that might stay close for a while, but Clemson's still, again, clearly the better team. So that's why we put it at 60%. We are going to favor Clemson, and it doesn't matter if you put that game at as a 50-50 game or a 60% game. It's not going to affect the projected record because they're going to be 12-0 either way. If you make that a 50-50 game, and the way we're doing this, the 80% games and up, we're considering those wins. 20% and down, we're considering those losses. So you're sitting there with 11 wins, and then you'd have Notre Dame. If it was a 50-50 game, that would be, it'd average out to half a win, and that would round up to 12. So whether it's a 50-50 game or a 60% game, either way, Clemson would come out with a 12-0 projected record. And I believe this will be, we're doing this for all the teams in college football. I believe Clemson is going to be the only team that has a 12-0 projected record. Does that mean Clemson's going to be better than these teams that we're projecting at 10-2 or 11-1? Not necessarily. It means their schedule is easier. Again, this is a projection based off of the schedule, and because the schedule really just is not very challenging for Clemson, it would be a surprise, really, I think, for them to go anything less than 12-0. I mean, maybe they slip up somewhere and go 11-1. I think that's really about the worst-case scenario, but Clemson more than likely is going to go undefeated again. They are projected based off of their schedule to go 12-0 and we'll see if they're able to do that again this upcoming 2020 season. You guys can let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on SG1 Sports.